We're gonna do this. Part 2. Unscripted. Listen, I can't sit in front of a webcam and do this kind of stuff. So here we go for part 2. I got some good input from the first one. 15 views, which is 14 more than I expected, because I viewed it once. But some comments that I received involve talking more about communication. Communication seems to be a big problem with guys these days. A little bit of history on myself. I've been an auto mechanic for 20 years, professionally, working for General Motors. Well, I'm working for dealerships on General Motors vehicles. Over the past couple decades, I can tell you one thing for sure. Communication is key. I have to communicate with the advisors. The advisors have to communicate with the customers. I have to communicate with the parts department. It's all about communication. Without it, you've got nothing. And the same exact thing goes for relationships at home with your wife, your girlfriend, somebody you're dating. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're single because you don't communicate. I don't know your situation. You might be single because you're waiting for the right person, choose to be single for the freedom. But there's going to come a time there should come a time when you want to start dating, but you don't have experience in communication. And that's where I come in. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tell you how to communicate, what to do, and what not to do. So listen up. In order for a guy to want to communicate, he is trying to accomplish one of two tasks. He's either trying to learn about something, or he's trying to fix something. And as far as I can tell, anything that I can think of that I want to do to communicate is doing one of those two things, either learning something or fixing something. I don't argue. I don't yell. I don't scream. I don't argue with people. I communicate with people. And it takes a real mature individual to actually sit there and listen to the other person talk without thinking about their next response. Here's a question for you. How can you tell the difference between a discussion and an argument? That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. Discussions don't raise the volume of your voice. Discussions bring to surface the concern and available action. Discussions are mature, and you don't storm off after a discussion because you're pissed. An argument, Lord knows I've been in enough of those. You or both raise your voices, say things you shouldn't, beat each other down verbally, sometimes physically. Nothing gets done. You can feel your blood pressure rising. That's an argument. You say things out of passion, out of anger. There is no thought behind it. It's all reaction. Just root primitive feelings come out, and nothing gets done. Because one of you are being selfish and not keeping an open mind. It takes a lot of mental strength, growing, fortitude, you name it, in order to have a mature communication with another person. So if you're going to walk up to a woman, your date, your girlfriend, and you're wanting to learn about something about her, it's so easy to not argue because you're wanting to receive information. But the real problem comes is when the female is trying to communicate something to the male about something he did wrong, or something that she wants that he's not understanding due to lack of communication. What's going through your mind when she calls you out on something? You drink too much. And she's going to point out exactly how much you've been drinking because she knows. She's been monitoring it for a little while before she even brings it to your attention. So she already knows. There's nothing to argue about. She sees that you're going through a 24-pack of Bud Light a weekend out in the garage. She sees it in the trash can. Maybe she wants to spend quality time with you, and maybe you just can't stand her. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. I'm just spitballing here. But she's going to come up to you. It's going to be confrontational if she's that type of person. But regardless of if she's confrontational or not, she's still going to want information from you. She wants to learn something from you. She wants to know what's going on inside of your head. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the exact same thing that I would think. Because I'm a dude too. The very first sentence that she says when she confronts you about you drinking too much, it's going to put you on the defense. The very first thing you're going to be thinking of is, how do I respond to this? And that right there is the first problem. Your first thought. Listen, I'm going to be blunt here. Your first thought should not be, how am I going to argue with this woman? How am I going to defend myself? How am I going to defend myself in this argument? That's not what the goal here is. The goal here is to have a discussion. She has a problem, and you probably do too. But there needs to be a fix. And this falls into the one category of communication. I communicate to fix things. So your first thought that goes through your head is, oh no, she's jumping on my ass about my drinking. It's none of her business. I'm a grown adult. It's my money. I paid for the beer, and I want to live my life the best I can. While you're thinking this, she's still talking, and you don't even hear it. She stops talking, and now you repeat what you just thought in your head. Why are we even bringing this up? And it's none of your business how much I drink. It's my money. I'm a grown adult. And before you know it, you've just started an argument. And this could have been avoided at step one with your mentality. Yes, sir. Your mentality is screwed up right out of the box. The first words out of your mouth are not defensive words. You got to step back and reevaluate. Maybe this is why you're single. And along with that, you need to remember that you're not always right. You may think you're always right because that's human psyche, but you're not. You're not. This is about compromise. That you're in a relationship with the person. I don't care what stage in the relationship you're in. You're at a stage in this relationship where it's no longer just about you. You have an us to think about. And that's where every single boy out there stops thinking. Because it's always about them. They're selfish. They want instant gratification. They want a relationship based off of their terms. And most of the guys out there, they really don't care what the woman wants or desires. It's tricky walking that line because you do have to be happy in your relationship or there won't be a relationship. So finding that fine line is crucial. If you really want this woman to be in your life, you have to want to change. If she says you drink too much, then you have a choice to make. You can leave her and continue doing what you've been doing because you think you're right, or you can compromise with her. If she thinks you drink too much, then maybe you should understand what she's trying to say and maybe ask some questions for clarification. So let's keep an open mind with your significant other during this discussion. She's accusing you of drinking too much. It doesn't even have to be drinking too much. It could be playing too much video games. You spend too much time on your Xbox. Right? Maybe I should step away from that one subject and hit another subject. You spend too much time on your Xbox. You come home from work, you sit down, you put on your headset, and you zone out. But you do it all night. See, you need to come into this with an open mind. Yeah, you just worked your butt off today. 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever the case may be. You want to come home and you need to unwind. You need that. And I'm not debating that with you. What I am trying to instill into your mind is that you have a significant other that also wants to have a relationship with you. So she comes up to you and she tells you play too much video games. You play it too long. And your instant response is, it's none of your business. It's what I'm doing. Leave me alone. But that doesn't fix the concern here. Why does she feel like you're playing too many video games? Keep an open mind, like I said, and just ask her why she feels that way and what she would consider an adequate amount. Maybe instead of playing video games for 5 hours at a time, maybe you can do an hour of video games to unwind. Have one beer while you're playing your video games. 1 or 2. Who stops at 1 beer? Come on, really? Okay. Video games for an hour, have a couple beers while you're shooting shit up. And then you're going to have the mentality, the open mentality of saying, okay, that's enough. Let's go see if I can help with dinner. Wow, that's communication. You just compromised with your significant other, saying, I will not play so many video games. Instead, I will help you out so that you don't have to come home after you work, slave over a stove for hours, making an entire meal for... She's probably got kids, you probably got kids, whatever. Instead of being selfish, have an open mind, listen to her, and listen to her perspective. And that's step 1. And so many guys don't even do step 1. And you got to do step 1 before you can grow this into a fruitful relationship. Have a listen. Try that. Just listen to her. And how about this? Don't respond immediately. Let that thought settle in. Analyze that thought for a little while. How about you ask yourself a question? Is what she says making sense? Is what she says a valid concern? Is what she is saying a serious concern that will affect your relationship? If it is, then you need to reevaluate your response. Step 1 is done. You have shut your mouth, you have listened to her, and you have thought about what she has said. Sounds simple enough, right? You're no longer being selfish. You're taking into consideration her perspective and her feelings. So what's next? Well, you have to implement. Taking action is the hardest part. So, fellas, what types of things are we going to communicate in a relationship? And what kind of things are we not going to communicate? Big subject matter. It takes a lot of mental growth and understanding to be able to talk about your feelings. But that seems to be a big one amongst the female population. That's all they do, it seems, is think with their emotion. Now, don't get me wrong. There are females out there who use logic and understanding and facts. I'm not pointing anybody out, but I digress. A male that is able to discuss his feelings appropriately is probably one of the biggest turn-ons for a woman. you'll also want to communicate your intentions. Intentions about the relationship. What do you want out of this relationship? And don't lie to her. Maybe you're lying to yourself about what you really want. If you just want friends with benefits, tell her that. She may be okay with it. It may get to the point where you tell her, not feeling the connection, but I really love having sex with you. And she may agree with you. And that will give her the opportunity to build up those walls so that she doesn't fall for somebody who has no feelings for her. It sounds like a ludicrous idea, believe me, but it can happen, and it does happen. As long as you are honest with her, open about your feelings. Listen, I don't have a connection with you. I tried. We have tried for months, and I just don't feel the way for you that I should. That's honest communication about feelings. She's not going to get mad at you. She may break up with you. That's on her. You may not be what she's looking for. Of course, you already know that, which is why you're going to lie to her, isn't it? Tell her what she wants to hear. Meanwhile, you aren't feeling a thing for her. You just know it's a piece of ass. That's disgusting, dude. You are a piece of trash. That's manipulation, lying. You don't deserve her. So, don't even get me on that subject. Communicate your feelings. If you're feeling something for her, let her know. And right at the beginning of this relationship, you're going to have to be honest with her. What are you looking for out of this relationship? Do you just want to be friends? Do you just want to be friends with benefits? Do you want to date? How about a live-in girlfriend? Do you want to get married someday? These are things that you need to ask yourself. Answer these questions beyond a shadow of a doubt. What do I want? And then communicate that to her. Here's one that's going to rustle some feathers with the boys out there. Communicate with ex-flings, ex-girlfriends, ex-wives. You need to communicate with them that you are now in a relationship. You need to be serious about this. There's a lot of relationships out there that fail because there's still some attraction between the guy and an ex. And your mentality determines whether this relationship will last. If you can see yourself with this woman that you're currently with, if you want to do things with her and prolong your relationship, you have got to cut ties. Cut those strings. It's gonna ruin you. I don't care if you like the attention. I don't care if it's innocent. It's just innocent banter. You know, we're just teasing each other. Nothing will happen. No, that's not the right mentality. Cut those strings faster than shit. Let your woman know that you respect her enough to not let temptation creep in that door. In fact, here's an end game. This is a long-term goal for you. Whoever you're with, the goal is when your phone dings, that girl, the woman that you're with right now, needs to be able to look and see who it is that texted you. Oh, that's my friend from work. He's asking about torque specifications on an intake manifold. Great. Awesome. You need to have that kind of confidence. When she sees that kind of confidence, she is going to be all over you. She's going to be in love with you. She's going to make you the happiest man alive. I guarantee it. Your phone rings. You both know it's nothing inappropriate from anybody. Message through Facebook, text message, whatever. Get to that point where you're not hiding anything. You don't have a passcode on your phone. You can sit that thing face up, and you know whenever it dings, it's not going to be any kind of temptation coming through that door. That's your end goal. But in order to reach that end goal, you have to cut those ties off before they even start. I'm not saying you don't have to talk to women. Do you know how to have a healthy friendship with a female without ever going over that line? Do you actually know how to do that? Have you done that before? Well, you're going to have to start trying. You're going to have to learn. That is my best relationship advice. Cut those strings. Cut out that temptation. You are doing this with your woman. It's just you. Everybody else in the world is going to be jealous. God, I hope they're jealous. Jealous of your relationship because you are living the best relationship possible. Trust, communication, it all plays a major role in a healthy relationship. I want to touch really quick on what not to communicate. Because this is just as important as what to communicate. Don't tell her about your ex. This is the one way to make her feel so inadequate. This will drop her self-esteem like no other. You start talking, well, my ex did it this way and I really like it. My ex did this. My ex used to say this. If you start talking about exes in front of your current woman, there's going to be hell to pay. Now, you might be able to let it slip. You might be able to say, well, if she actually does something that triggers you, you had a previous woman in your life that did it a certain way that you really liked, you don't have to say, well, my ex did it this way and I really liked it. You don't have to say anything about your ex. Instead, make a suggestion. How about you try it this way? That is a really healthy way to communicate something that she's doing that an ex did better without telling her an ex did it better. I know you can relate to that, which is probably why you haven't cut strings with those exes. Just saying. Society has created an atmosphere that makes men feel like they can't share their feelings. It really sucks because men, therefore, cut their feelings off, keep them within themselves, and that can be unhealthy for a relationship. For example, you had a rough day at work. Something specific happened, and it just ruined your fucking day. You get home, your girlfriend is there, your wife is there, and she asks you, how was your day? Well, she doesn't know about this situation. If you just tell her, it was fine, that is communication, but it's not adequate communication. But your girl would love to be there for you to rant on about a bad day at work, just getting it out verbally. She doesn't have to understand, but she is listening. And sometimes listening is all it takes. You had a bad day at work because Joe spilled coffee on his desk and shorted out the keyboard and just tore down the entire firewall and the network crashed. Horrible day. But you go home, you lost money today because the network was down, and it was a horrible day, and you just tell her, I had an okay day. I mean, maybe she wants to hear about it. Maybe she could be the rock for you to lean on after a bad day. And here's a plot twist. If you actually communicate your actual feelings, honestly, she may have some slight sympathy for you and want to make your night better. Maybe slip on some lingerie later and you may have the best head you've ever had. I'm just saying, it's possible. Be honest with her, be open with her. Talk to her. Don't talk down to her. Face to face. She's your partner. Treat her that way. Let's see. What haven't I covered? There's a lot of material here. Communication. It is the key to success. Whether you're at your job, whether you're at home, whether you're talking to your woman or your kids. You gotta learn. You gotta fix. And in order to do those two things, you have to communicate. Proper communication without arguing. You'll get better. It just takes time. You gotta stop being so damn selfish, self-centered, and thinking that you're always right. You gotta have an open mind and be willing to accept the fact that maybe she's got a point. 9 times out of 10, she does. Women are like that. They're fucking right. Like, all the time. Well, unless you got a psycho woman, which I'm sure some of you have had. But, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up. If you've made it this far, I truly appreciate you. I would greatly appreciate any feedback, both positive and negative. I will talk to you in the next one.